There you go. Okay, good morning. Today is Sunday. It is the 22nd day of Sivan. So yesterday we learned in the Tanya, and that we are all in the middle of chapter 7. And chapter 7 talks about Yichud, the unity in the oneness of Hashem. And we spoke about that there's two levels of oneness, Yichud Ilah and Yichud Tata'a, the higher level of unity and the lower level of unity. There is the unity from the perspective of above, where the true existence is Hashem, and everything else is nullified within the existence of Hashem, just like the ray of the sun in the sun itself, that doesn't have its own existence. And then there is the Yichuda Tata'a, the lower level of unity. And the lower level of unity is from the perspective of below, which is that we exist. We feel ourselves as an existing thing, but we realize that we only exist because Hashem makes us exist. Now, after explaining these two levels of the oneness of Hashem, the Alter Rebbe continues in chapter 7. Chapter 7, by the way, is a long chapter, and is explaining further and further, deeper and deeper. But today, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain the concept, what we say every day by the davening. We say, Ata hu ad shelo nivra ha'olam, ve'ata hu mi shenivra ha'olam. That you are the one before the world is created, and you are the one after the world was created. What does that mean? What are we talking about? Hashem is what we say. Why do we say you are the one? It could say you are the one before and after. But we say you are the one, atahu. You are the one before and you are the one after. And he's going to explain it based on what it says, Ani Hashem lo shaniti, that Hashem didn't change. When we say Hashem didn't change, what does it mean God doesn't change? And not only that it doesn't change his mind, but it doesn't change, meaning that God, nothing affects any change in God. Hashem is the same one before the world was created, and he's still the same one after the world was created, meaning that the existence of the world didn't affect any change in God, and is the same one and nothing else. In our perspective, we are a created being, but in a perspective of Hashem, there is really nothing else. So let's share the Tanya. Just a second, I'll be right back. Let me see. Okay, forgive me, I'm gonna. Okay, we're ready to go. Now with the Alter Rebbe, let's see it inside. One second. Oy vey. Vehine, continues the Alter Rebbe. The Mashin is by what we expect. Yuva Mashekosov Ani Hashem lo yishonisi. Now, from the foregoing exposition, one will be able to understand the verse, I, Avaya, Hashem, have not changed. Pirush. What does that mean? Says the Alter Rebbe, this means that not only Hashem doesn't change his mind, but what it means is she'ein shum shinui klal, kemoi shehoya levadoi kodem rias ha'olam, kachu levadoi acha shenivra. There is no change in him at all. Just as he was alone before the creation of the world, so is he alone after it was created. What does it mean? It says, "V'zeu she'omrim atohu ad sheloi nivra ha'olam, atohu chulu." Accordingly, it is written, you are the same before the world was created, and you are the same after the world was created. Bli shum shinui be'atzmusoi v'loi bedaitoi. Without any change in his being, nor even in his knowledge. What does it mean in his knowledge? He says when a person knows something, the knowledge adds to the person. But by Hashem, it's not the same. Why? Ki biyedias atzmo yedeya kol hanivroim shehakol mimenu ubotel b'metzius etzloi. Continues, for by his knowing himself, by knowing himself, he knows all created things, since all derive from him and are nullified in relation to him. K'moishe kosav Rambam, shehu hayodea, v'hu hayodua, v'hu adeya be'at atzmo, akol echod. As Maimonides of blessed memory states that he's the knower, he's the known, and he is the knowledge itself, all are one. You see, when we're talking about a human being, when we're talking about there is three distinct parts. We have our self, the human being. The human being has his knowledge, his intellect, and then there is the subject that we learn, that we study. That is the knowledge. So there's three distinct parts. But by Hashem, God, He is the knowledge. He is the knowledge. The knowledge is Him, and the subject is Him also. He knows Himself. By knowing Himself, He knows everything. As Maimonides' blessed memory stated, that He is the knower, He is the known, and He is knowledge itself, and all are one. Says the Rambam, "V'davar ze ein bekoyach le'omroi, v'loi be'oizen l'shamoi, v'loi b'lei v'odam le'akiroi al buryoi." Just a second.
Rob, I can't hear you.
Okay. All right. Let's go back. Sorry about that. Now, says the Rambam continued, "V'davar ze ein bekoyach v'pele omrei v'loi be'oizen l'shamoi v'loi b'lei v'odam la'akiroi al buryoi." This, Maimonides goes on to say, is beyond the capacity of the mouth to express, beyond the capacity of the ear to hear, and beyond the capacity of the heart or mind of man to apprehend clearly. He says we cannot understand it clearly. We can understand it somewhat, but not clearly. This idea that Hashem is one with everything, with His knowledge and with the subject. Everything is part of Him. He knows us because He is us. So he says, "Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu mahusoi ve'atzmusoi ve'daitoi akol echad mamish mikol tzad upina v'kol derech yichud." For the Holy One, blessed be He, His essence and being and His knowledge are all absolutely one, from every side and angle and every form of unity. Ve'ein daitoi davar noisaf al mahusoi ve'atzmusoi k'moi shehu b'nefesh ha'adam shedaito davar noisaf al mahusa umurkav bo. He says His knowledge is not is not super added to his essence and being, as it is in normal soul, whose knowledge is added to its essence and is compounded with it. הרי כשהאדם לימד וידע איזה דבר, כבר עושה בו נפשי המשכלת בטרם שלא למד ויודע, ואחר שלמד ויודע ניתוסו ידיע זו בנפשי. He says, when a man studies a subject and knows it, his rationale soul was already within him before he studied and knew it, and afterwards this knowledge was added to his soul. Okay? So man's knowledge, he says, is thus a supplement to his intrinsic being. Through it, he becomes aware of something he did not know before. And the same thing says the Rambam, the Alter Rebbe, v'chein midei yom b'yom, yomim yedaberu, v'rov shonim yediu chochma. And so, day after day, days speak, meaning instruct the person, and a multitude of years teach wisdom. So by a man that his knowledge is not one with him, yes, you become connected with the things you know, the things that you know become one with you, but it's not you. So he says that's why ve'ein zu achdus pshuta ela morkeves. This is not a simple, meaning it's not a perfect unity, but a composite. It is a composite. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is that composite? Meaning that it's connected. It's a unity that connects with different things that connect and become one. Our knowledge, we become one with our knowledge. Aval HaKadosh Baruch Hu achdus pashut bli shum arkava v'tzad ribui klal. The Holy One, blessed be He, however, is a perfect unity without any composition or element or plurality at all. Inasmuch as it is impossible to speak of any aspect of Him as not having existed previously. So everything that is here was there before, and it was there as part in Hashem Himself, and it's not a separate thing. And therefore, al kochoch mahusay ve'atzmusay ve'daitoi akel davar echad mamash b'li shum hakavod. One must conclude that his essence and being and knowledge are all absolutely one without any composition. Ulefichach, and therefore, keshem she'i efshar leshum nivra ba'olam lehasig mehus haboire ve'atzmusay kach I efshar lehasig mehus daitoi. Therefore, just as it is impossible for any creature in the world to comprehend the essence of the Creator and His being, so it is impossible to comprehend the essence of His knowledge, which is one with Hashem Himself. Rak lehamin be'emuna she'i lemayla me'aseichel me'asaga she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu yachid miyuchad. It is possible only to believe with a faith that transcends intellect and comprehension, that only one, blessed be He, is one and unique. So it is, we can understand that we don't understand. And this is when we reach the Emuna, the faith. Faith is something that has many different levels. Believe in Hashem. But the deeper you understand the oneness of Hashem, the greater the level of your faith goes. And who v'daitoi echad ma'akal echad mamish u'b'yidias atzmoi makir v'yidea kol hanimtzoyim alyonim v'tachtonim. He and his knowledge are all absolutely one. And knowing himself, he perceives and knows all higher and lower things, meaning the being in the higher and the lower worlds. Ad shil shul katan shebayam ve'ad yitush katan sheyiyeh b'tabor haaretz, including even a small worm in the sea and a minute mosquito that may be found in the center of the earth. The Rebbe points out, he uses these terms, that the shilshul katan is a small, very small, tiny creature. Today, maybe we can use the example of the coronavirus. It's so tiny. Everything, Hashem knows it and creates it and being there, part of Hashem. Ve'ad yitush katan uses the example of mosquito because a mosquito is really doesn't do any good. It takes but doesn't give anything. He says, Ein dava, nevertheless, Ein dava nela mimenu, there is nothing concealed from him. Ve'ein yadia zu meisifa boi riboi ve'arko ve'klal. Me'acha she'eino rak yadias atzmoi ve'atzmusoi ve'daitoi akoil echad. This knowledge does not add multiplicity and composition to him at all. It doesn't make him bigger. It doesn't make him composed from different things, since it is merely a knowledge of himself. All creatures are part of himself, and knowing them is knowing himself. And his being and his knowledge are all one. ולפי שזה קשה מאוד לצייר בשכלנו, על כן אמר הנביא, כי גובו שמיים מארץ, כן גובו דרוכי מדרכיכם ומחשבויסי ממחשבויסיכם. Inasmuch as it is, as this form of knowledge is very difficult to envisage, figure, to imagine, to picture in our mind. The prophet Isaiah therefore said, for as heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Uksiv, and it brings another verse that says, it is likewise written, can you, by intellectual searching, find God? And so too, have you eyes of flesh, or do you see as man sees? Why? For man sees and knows everything with a knowledge that is external to himself. Whereas the Holy One, blessed be he knows all by knowing himself. These are the paraphrased words of Maimonides. Ayin sham be'ilchas yesod ha'Torah, v'skimu b'y chachmei ha'Kabbalah, k'mavuah b'pardes ma'Rav Moshe Kadavir. Says, so, see ilchas yesod ha'Torah, this is part of the Mishnah Torah in the Rambam. The sages of the Kabbalah have agreed with him, as is explained in Pardes of Rabbi Moshe Kadavir, of blessed memory. Because there were some sages that disagreed with the Rambam. It says, how could you say about God that he's knowledge, he's knowing, he's the knower? After all, Hashem is beyond anything, the knowledge. So the Alter Rebbe brings that according to Kabbalah, they explained what the Rambam means. And when we're talking about Hashem's knowledge, Hashem is the knower, Hashem is knowing, this is the way in the lower level, after Hashem lowered his light to the level of Atzilus in the lower world, there you can have some kind of description of Hashem is the knowledge and Hashem is the knower. But if we're talking before Atzilus, higher than Atzilus, there that is not this concept of there's no description at all to the essence of Hashem himself. So this is the end of today's Shaar. Thank you for joining, and please share, please subscribe in the YouTube, and share the words of Hashem. And have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Be'ezrat Hashem. Now it's time for questions. Anybody has any questions?